Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video I'm going to talk about debt management, that sort of thing, because it's something that's sort of taken over a lot of people's lives at the moment. I mean, I was watching some videos from a new friend of mine on YouTube, Cherry Chat, and he's been highlighting his struggles with debt that he's got into. Looking at some of his videos, I think he's in about 14 grand's worth of debt. And when you look at the videos, I think most of it's down to sort of payday loans, small credit cards, high interest rates, that sort of thing. And it's so easily done, especially in today's economic climate with high cost of living. Wages are pretty low for most standard jobs. So yeah, it's really easily done. But I've been chatting to him a little bit on WhatsApp as well, and he's a pretty smart guy. I think he's got his head screwed on, and it seems like he's got a plan to pay it all back. And you know, it looks like he's actually quite organised with managing his debt, which is good to see. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll get out of it. But these things take time, and it's puts loads of stress on your life as well at the same time. So subscribe to his channel, check out his videos, give him all the support you can, which is good. So yeah, going back to sort of debt, the main sort of topic. I mean, I had got into a bit of shit a few years ago. It was when I came back to the UK for a fairly short period of time after spending the first 4 years in France, when I was running a small business with my brother down in Provence. It didn't work out, so we sold the business and lost everything. So I came back to England, and a lot of my friends at the time were doing various different sort of hustles in music festivals, touring England over the summer. Various sort of businesses, from like market stalls selling camping equipment, and another good mate of mine had a backstage bar business, so I helped him out with that a bit as well, which is good laugh. Had good fun doing that. But also one of the main sort of things that sucked me into that was there's a lot of sort of networking that you can do at music festivals, because there's, not to lie, there's a hell of a lot of partying that goes on, and not a lot of sleeping, if you know what I mean. So I got into doing that, into sales, should we say. I don't want to give it away too much, because censorship on YouTube can be a bit tricky sometimes. So let's just say that I got into selling things. We'll call it like essential tools for partying. Everything varying from plant-based goods to certain chemicals, a few synthetic things as well. But the two main things that I was into were the plant-based goods, because I used to smoke a hell of a lot back then. And I got quite into the white goods, the ones that go up your nose a bit like that. That was my sort of weapons of choice. So yeah, so I was doing that. It was easy money, hard to say no to. And the guy that I was getting all my merchandise off was a guy that I'd known for years. He lived next door to me years ago when I had a small house in England. His mum owned the house next door. So yeah, I mean, when you're getting all these sorts of tools at, it's not even wholesale price, it was less than wholesale price, I mean, it's cheap. You know, you're sort of on top of it to start with, and then it gets out of control, and you end up partying a bit more because you've got access to it, and you start dipping into it more and more, and then you just end up hammering it, and you start going into debt with it a bit. So it's very easily done. I'm I'm sure some of you have probably been there. And so yeah, was doing that for a little bit, and ended up probably about 2 or 3 grand in debt with that, and it started to get me down a bit. But because I was abusing it and caning it so much, I wasn't really in touch with reality. You're sort of numb to any of the sort of repercussions that might come with it. My mate that I was getting things off, he'd done the same thing as well. He was in a lot more debt than I was. He was in about 30 grand's worth of debt with the big guy at the top, sort of thing. I mean, these guys at the top, they were scary. They didn't fuck about. They didn't touch any of the stuff that they were selling. They followed the number one rule of not getting high on their own supply, which me and my mate didn't. We got really high on our own supply. So yeah, that wasn't good. And it all started getting a bit hectic for me. I started hearing rumours that the big boys, the scary dudes, they were planning on coming around my flat. I was renting just a room in a flat at the time. They were planning on coming around my flat and taking my passport off me, just to try and sort of make me play ball a bit more. And I just sort of ignored that. I just sort of buried my head in the sand and just carried on doing what I was doing, just carried on having fun. I shouldn't have done. And a few more weeks rolled by, and then I started hearing other rumours that they were starting to lose their rag with me a bit. And they were planning on coming around my flat and bundling me in the back of a transit van and taking me up the woods. So that's when it really started to kick into the old brain. I thought, oh shit, now I'm in the shit, sort of thing. A good job I've still got my bloody passport. So yeah, I didn't have to give it much thought. I was bundled everything that I owned into my car, and I was back on the ferry to France within about 6 or 8 hours, and I got the fuck out of Dodge. Best thing I ever did for my own safety. And so yeah, being back in France, just got my head down, knocked all that on the head, and just started doing a boring job that I've been doing for the last 15 years. Which I can't complain, because it has sort of, has paid all right, I suppose, well, up until recently. So yeah, I can't complain about that. I mean, I cut all ties with these people that I was doing business with and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, they've never found me. It's been just over 15 years since any of that shit happened. I mean, I didn't have a massive debt with them either. It's only a few grand, so for them it's small potatoes. But the guy that I was doing business with, my sort of mate, who was into a lot more debt than I was, I'd heard from, because I'd cut ties with him. I had to. But I'd heard from someone else that he'd ended up moving, because we were living near Bournemouth then at the time, and my mate had ended up moving to South Wales, like right in the middle of nowhere. And I thought, that's a bit funny, because that line of work that we were in, that was all he knew. That was all he'd done since he was 16. He'd never really had any proper jobs. He'd done a few jobs here and there, but it couldn't ever hold him down because he couldn't get out of bed in the morning. Too much of a party animal. So he'd moved to South Wales, right in the middle of nowhere. And I just thought, why would he do that? There's, completely leaving his entire client base, and he's not going to have much client base living in the middle of nowhere, right out in the sticks. And a couple of years ago, I got a message from this other guy saying that there was an article online, like BBC Online or something, and some other articles like local newspapers, saying that my mate had been riding his mountain bike home back to the village where he lived or something, along some country lanes on a Sunday night or something. And he'd ended up being knocked off his bike by a car or something. Could have been a bus or a tractor, God knows what. And his body had been found the next day, lying in a ditch, his bike all smashed up, all that sort of stuff. And I thought that's a shame. That's tragic. Even though I got into a lot of shit with him, he was still my mate deep down. We'd had some pretty good times together. So yeah, that sort of cut me up a bit. So I asked the guy that told me about this, I asked him a few more questions on Facebook Messenger or whatever it was. Started to probe a bit more, and he had a bit more information because he'd been in touch with the guy's sister or whatever. And turns out that his body had been found in the ditch, but completely decapitated. So head cut clean off. So I thought that's a bit strange. Normally, if you just get knocked off your bike, I wouldn't have thought your head would be completely severed. So yeah, I thought, did the big bad dudes catch up with him? It's quite possible, because 30 grand's worth of debt when I knew him, it could have been more like 50 or 60 a couple of years ago. So yeah, that's pretty hectic. I wouldn't wish any of that on anyone. Everything I've said there is I suppose it is sort of advice, but don't ever go down the easy money road. It's easy money, but it'll screw you over in the end. You'll get into the shit big time. It's it's always going to be a downward spiral. So yeah, I was lucky to get out of that. Yeah, looking back on it, yeah, very lucky. So sort of going back to more like sort of classic debt, if you will, like with financial institutions or payday loans, credit cards, that sort of jazz. I remember this like a few years ago now. I watched a really good documentary about a self-made businessman in Burnley called Dave Fishwick. You've probably heard of him. Absolute legend, top bloke. He'd had enough of, I think it's like after the sort of financial crash of 2008, when the high street bank stopped lending money to anybody. Where he lived in Burnley, because he's always been part of the community, so he knew everybody. Everyone knew him, and a lot of people he knew were just getting into loads of trouble financially with these sorts of things, high interest rates, and borrowing a little bit of money, but ending up getting into loads of shit with the interest. So he took on the high street banks and set up his own bank, Bank of Dev, and started lending small amounts of money to people that needed it, small businesses as well. So yeah, he's done amazing things, changed the lives of so many people. All credit to him. The world needs more Dave Fishwicks out there. Absolute legend. There's a couple of films on Netflix now talking about his story. I watched the last one, the second film that they've done a couple of weeks ago, Bank of Dave, The Lone Ranger. And in that one, it's about him where he specifically takes on these bloody payday loan companies and this sort of thing. Tries to take them down, sort of thing. Because I don't know how that sort of thing could ever be legal when you see the rates that they're charging. It is just astronomical. It's not helping people. It doesn't help people at all, getting them into so much debt. It's criminal enterprises when you look at them, when you pick the thing apart. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that really, just to sort of try and highlight that, because so many people are going into more and more debt at the moment. It just seems like the system's geared up for it, just trying to put people in the hole more and more. So I'll leave it at that today. I think just let you mull that one over. Send me a message. Let me know if you've got debt troubles. How did you get into debt? What sort of debt have you got? Is it with credit cards or other forms of debt? I mean, there's various different ways of getting into debt. Yeah, keep subscribing to the small channels. Keep supporting people that are raising awareness about this, trying to get it out there to a broader audience. It needs, people have got some good stories to tell about this. So yeah, I'll let you crack on with your afternoon. Like, subscribe, keep plugging away. If you're in debt, just keep on, keep getting your head down, keep working. You'll get out of it. You just need to just keep organised. You've got to have a plan. You've got to have a sort of structured plan of how you're going to get out of it. Write things down. Set yourself goals of how much you want to try and pay off, and if you just stick to the plan, you'll get through it. It'll work out. Okay, so have a good day. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, take care. Bye bye.